Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll start this Kiddushim daf Zayin. We're going to begin on the very bottom of Vav Amud Beis. Amar Rava. So Rava says, what happens in the event that she says the following statement? Tain man laploini. I want you to give this money that you're giving to me for Kiddushin, but I want you to give it to someone else. As we continue to Zayin Amud Aleph. V'kadish l'cha, and I'll be married to you. Now, even though Rashi says v'afagav delo mati hano yada, she actually didn't get the hana. She's not the one who was able to actually get the money, but she said, "I want you to give the money to someone else." So in that situation, mikadeshes medin arev. In that situation, it's a good Kiddushin when it comes to comparable to a co-signer to someone who signs a loan. So Arev we know that when it comes to a loan, if the lova is not able to pay back the loan, and he won't get a loan, so the malva may say, what, if you get a co-signer, an Arev, that if you can't pay, that can go to him, then that's fine. Now an Arev doesn't get the loan. He doesn't gain anything. He doesn't get any hana, but nonetheless he still obligates himself when it comes to the situation of this lova not being able to pay back. So hi isis anami, so this woman too, even though she didn't get any hana, she's not keeping the money, nonetheless, she's able to be makna herself in this way. So out to din arev, this would work. Now what happens if the man says, Helach mana, that take this money, Viskanchi Laploini, and I want you with this money to not be married to me, but you'll be married to someone else. So Mekadishas Medin Eved Kanaini. In that situation, it will be a good Kiddushin when it comes like Eved Kanani. Eved Kanani Lav Avagav Deloy Kachasev Midi Kokani Navshe, even when it comes to someone else. As Rashi says, as we'll see later on, Daf Chaf Beis, an Eved Kanani's kindness atzmo, he acquires himself b'kesav alidei cherem. If someone else redeems him, then he is able to go free. Now, obviously that means that the Eved Kanani didn't lose anything because someone else did it, and nonetheless he gains. So also, even though this man is not missing anything, nonetheless, he can still marry this girl. So therefore, again, if a man gives a woman the money and says, I want you to marry him, so it's going to work because it's Eved Kanani, even though this guy's not losing anything, it's still a good Kiddushin. What happens if you kind of add them together? Tain mana laploini, that she says the first statement, that I want you to give this 100 to Ploni, Vikadashani lo, and I will be married to him. Which means not that I'll marry you, but I'm going to marry the guy. So it'll end up being she's going to be marrying the guy that receives her Kiddushin money. So does that work? So Mekadeshus Medin Shnein. Arev, that it's like a co-signer. She didn't get an evet. When it comes to an Arev, he's not getting a hana, he's not getting the loan. So she's not getting the money. Nonetheless, come in Kanye Nasha. So in a second, me Damia. You can't compare it to an Arev. An Arev, hide the ka kanile kachasim amoina. So the one who's kind of loses out. Hi Gavri kakala kakanile hi isasav kachasim midi, because she's saying give the money to someone else and I'm going to marry him. So that guy's not losing out. So what does that have to do with an Arev? An Arev is the one who loses out. He potentially can lose out. So Eved Kanani Yochiach. So the look of Chasim Amayna, and Eved Kanani is not the one who buys himself out, it's Alidei Cherem. But Kakani Nashi acquires himself, so Midam Yahasam Hach the Maknila Kani. Hacha Hayissa Kamakni Nasha Loy Kakanya Volamidi. So it's not comparable to a case of an Eved. So Arev Yochiach. So you can keep going almost like a manatzad. It goes back and forth, back and forth. The point is that it will work midin shneim. Okay, so let's look at question 11. Heichidami mechira sada, selling a field, the mahani medin arev. So it says, Tain hakesav upon, give money to someone else, the sadi mechurlach, and the field will be sold to you. Kana medin arev, because you're not getting any hana, and nonetheless it works. And then it says, how about if you would say medin evid kanani, which that person isn't losing. So Halach Mana, take this $100 to take Sadcha Mechor Laploini, and the field will be sold to someone else. So Kana Oisa Ploini Medin Evid. That other guy, he didn't lose anything, he didn't pay for it, nonetheless he gets it, which is like an Evid Kanani who doesn't lose, but he goes free. Also, that was the same as TA4. Weiter. Boy Rabba. So now Rabba poses the following question. Halach Mana Vikanish Anilacha Mahu. A person says, take this money, I'll be married to you. So what is the din in that situation? Says Rashi, Vahu Kibul, and he's Makabelit, the Amrullah Hiskad Bekach. And he says to her, I'm married to you this way. So yeah, it's a good Kiddushin, even though she's the one that actually gave him something. Similarly, Rav Ashi Lamar Zutra saying, it seems like you have Nechasim, Shesham Acharayas, which is like Karka, is, or in this case, it's like a Rashi, this is Adam is Hukish Karkais, that they're being kainit together with Nechasim Shelam Acharayas. Namely, says Rashi, V'zem Moishech HaMataltalin V'Karkos Kenuyin Lo, V'Mashichas HaMataltalin. That it seems like you're being kind of the Mataltalin, then Agav Mataltalin, you're also being kind of them for the person. But Anan Ivcha Tanan, we learn the opposite. That you acquire the land in one of the ways you acquire land, for example, Kesev or Shtar or Chazaka, and then you can be Kinyan Agav, the Mataltalin as well, that's on it, Tanan. Nechasim she'en lehem acharayis, nitnim nechasim she'en lehem acharayis, nechasim she'en lehem chazaka. So Marulei, mi savrit yarmin le agav. We're not talking about that the way this worked. It would be through a kinyan agav. Hachabadam chashav askinan demahu hana dekam kabel matanamina gamamatni lenafshe. And this we saw already in Tosfos previously, that normally he definitely has to speak. He has to say Mikudeshusly. He's supposed to give her something of monetary value, Shavapruta. Now, if this man is an Adam Chashav and she's the one that gives it to him, it's a guy who typically doesn't accept gifts, so therefore that is something, in fact, she gets enough from it. So even though she's not receiving anything, but it's ki'ilu like she's receiving something in that way. So too comes to monetary issues. What does that mean? It says Rashi, Hanach Shmaisa the Rava, that which we saw above, the Alfina Kiddushim Medin Arev Medin Evikanani Kain Indian Mamoina. Machal Sada, as we said already in the question, you sold a field, you're Malone, you say to him, Taina Kesev point, give the money to someone else, the study Mechorochan, I'll sell you a field. Boy, Kana Medin Arev. Or if let's say he says, Helach Manute Sadcha Mechor Laplaini, he says, take this money and the field will go to someone else. Kana is so plainly, the other person is kainet, medin eved. Tain manul appoint of a tikna low, sadi will kind of medin shneim. So you can say the same thing, that's just by Kiddushin. Fine. We need both. The Yashmin Kiddushin, that it works, even though maybe we think it doesn't work, these languages, Misham Deka, is the son nichle b'b'choldahu. The fact that we allow Medin Arev, Medin Eved, all these different cases, is because she's just happy she's getting married. A woman who would rather sit tandu, says Rashi, begufim shtayim, bal v'ishto, her with another man, a person, and not to be alone. So her being picky is not so much. She just wants to get married. When it comes to mammon, maybe it doesn't work. When it comes to money, you can just be moichel your possessions. You can be mafgirl your possessions. So we can be lenient when it comes to that. But Kiddushin, when it comes to Kiddushin, where if you don't say the exact lashon, it's not a good Kiddushin, say malo, in that case, maybe we're more strict. Omer Rabba. Eskachli lachatzoi mikudeshas. So marry me with your half, so it's a good Kiddushin. Chatzech mikudeshas li'in mikudeshas. Your half is mikudesh to me, it doesn't work. So it seems to be a mamanashach. Why does it work if you're speaking about yourself, but not about her? So Amalei Baya, Lurava Maishna, Chatzech, your half, Mikadeshas Lady, and Mikadeshas Isha, the end of Mikadeshas, why does that work? Because Isha Rachmanabel Chatzi Isha. You can't be Mikadesh half a woman. So if you say I'm marrying half of you, it doesn't work. However, Hachinami, Isha Rachmanabel Chatzi Ish, so why does it work by a man if you say something which is mashma, you're marrying half of me? So Amalei Hachihash, Hasam is Lebe Trei Chazia. When it comes to a woman, she can't be with two men. That's what he's saying. If I want to marry another woman, I'm going to marry her. So therefore, you're going to be married to only half of me. It doesn't mean that we're not going to be only 50% mikudeshes, but it means we're going to be married. But you're allowing also to know up front that I'm probably going to marry someone else too. Ravina. He says, well, understand this half business that it may not work. Why don't we say, v'nispashtu Kiddushi b'kula, that if you're Mekadosh half of this woman, so it should spread to all of her. Mi'otanya, don't we learn that if a person makes the declaration and says, Ragla shel zu oila, that only the regel, only the leg of this animal is going to be a carbon ola, tekul oila. So the din is that the whole thing is an oila, because since you mentioned any part of the animal, that's enough. Now, even the one who says, well, you're only talking about a regular, it doesn't work. So if let's say you're makdish something in which is shenashama tluyaba, let's say you're mekadosh the head or the heart, right? These are things that the neshama needs. So even though you're only makdish part of it, it's the spashit to everything. So if you're mekadosh half of a woman, that should also work. That's obviously half of a person is shenashama tluyaba. So mamidam hasam behema hachadas acheres. You can't compare the two. One, we're talking about an animal, and fine, so we can say in this spashit it spreads out. When we're talking about a das acheres, no. So you have to be very specific, and therefore you're saying only mekadosh half of a woman. That doesn't work. Halodamya, it's not comparable to El Hadiyim Rab Yochanan. Behema shel shnei shutvin. If let's say you have an animal of two partners, and therefore we do have das over here. Hikdish chatzia, if you're makdish half of it, v'chazur v'lakcha, and then you purchase it, v'kidsha, v'hikdisha, kedusha, and you're makdish the other part, v'enu kreva. So we say it's kadosh, v'enu kreva. But you cannot be makar. It says Rashi, Hoyel v'tchilas hakdesha lo nirasli karev de lo kidsha el chatzia. You're only mekadosh half of it. What do you mean? It's a behema. Yeah, but we're not talking in this situation. We're not focusing on the animal, but rather we're thinking about das acheres, because there was two partners. So therefore, in that situation, you cannot be makar of this animal. However, it does take upon itself some level of kedusha. Again, because it is kadosh. Then a crave, you can't be makar of it. You also tumurasa kiyotzeba. When a person does the tumura, it will have the same strength as Rashi. The inu crave and the mekaya kedusha dechuya ba'asa. So if you're redeem its kedusha tumura, that you have a kadosh animal and you put the sanctity from animal A to animal B, the din is animal B becomes kadosh, but the first one also doesn't lose its kedusha. So too over here, it's going to have the same status, and therefore, just like you can't be makar of this, you can't be makar of that as well. So we see from here, shma mina tlos. We actually don't just see one thing; we actually can derive three things from this, which we just saw. As we continue to Zayin Amud Beis. Shma mina ba'al chayim nidchin. First of all, we see that even an animal that's alive, these three things are mentioned many, many places, including in Psachim, right before the end of Pesach Sheni, right before Arvi Psachim, it says, Bali Chaim Nidchen. Even an animal that's alive can already be pushed off, that it cannot be used. Shema mina dichum yikar havidichui. It's not that it has to be near of a nidcha, it had to have been good and then pushed off. Something which was always a problem is a dichoy. Ushmamina yesh dichoy b'damim. Even b'damim. Says Rashi, yesh teres dichoy b'davar sheinu kadosh el damav. Even if it's money, and it has kedushas damim, it doesn't have kedushas aguf. Boy rava chatseich b'chatzi pruta v'chatseich b'chatzi pruta mao. Half of you with half a pruta, half of you with another half a pruta. Kivandir milachatzi pruta. Since you said half, so paska, you split it up. Odilma manav ha'ilachu. Maybe you're counting half and half. You're counting, and therefore it does work. So chatzech bepruta v'chatzech bepruta mao. What if you say half of you with a full pruta, half of you with another full pruta? Kivandi armula bepruta bepruta pascal will say, since you said the word pruta, you're actually splitting it up. Odilma kol b'yoyma minav ha'ilachu. Maybe since it's all on the same day, so the din is that you are continuing to count. The imtim solemer kol b'yoyma minav ha'ilachu. There you're just counting, and therefore it should work. So chatzech bepruta hayoyim v'chatzech bepruta l'machar mao. Half the pruta today, half tomorrow. Kivandir milol l'machar. Since you said tomorrow, Pascha splits it. Odilma hachkamila. Kiddushin maschlu me'idna. I want it to be chal right away, that we're married right now. However, migmar lo nigmaru ad l'machar. I'm not going to complete the process until tomorrow. For that matter, we have another question. Shnei chatzoyich bepruta. Two of your halves with the same pruta. Mao. Hachavani b'chad zim v'karmel. He said at the same time, so it works. Odilma ein ish mekadosh v'chatzoyin klal teku. So maybe you cannot be mekadosh woman with halves at all. Teku. Let's see a little bit more. Boy Rava. So he asks a question. Shtei b'noi secha l'shnei bonai. Your two daughters will marry my two sons. Bepruta. But I'm only going to give you one pruta, even though there's two kedushins here. Mao. Basar nois in a mekabla azlina vayika. Do we look at the one who's giving and the one who's receiving? As long as he's giving a pruta to this other person, that's enough. And therefore, vayika momoina, there is money. Odima basar didhu azlina v'haleka teku. Do we look at the different parties, and there's two marriages, and therefore each one is supposed to be a separate pruta? Boira papa bidcha uparascha bepruta. Your daughter and your cow. Mao miamrin and bidcha b'chatzi pruta b'harsa b'chatzi pruta. Therefore, it doesn't work. One's half, one's a half. Odilma bidcha b'pruta. I want to marry your daughter, and I'm giving her the pruta for that. Giving the pruta for that. And uparascha b'mashicha. You should just do mashicha on the para, but the money has nothing to do with the par. Teku. Let's see a couple more lines. Boy Rav Ashi bidcha v'karcha b'pruta mao. Your daughter in the land. So bidcha b'chatzi pruta v'karcha b'chatzi pruta. Therefore it doesn't work. Odilma bidcha b'pruta v'karcha b'chazaka teku. So again, maybe you can do the karka with the chazaka, and the pruta is the entire pruta is for the girl, and therefore again we have a teku ad kan.